Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, Governance and Policy, Everything Politics, with me, Patrick Soko, and my co-host, Shalon Kalimbula.
Indeed, a very good morning to you, our viewers. When you see these two faces, you know that it's about to get down in relation to politics and policy. The topic of discussion this morning is scrolling on your screens. Later on, we will have a guest to help us delve more into this conversation that we are having this morning. However, we will be zooming into some of the stories as usual. We'll bring you the money markets as well, just to see how the kwacha is faring against the major convertibles. And the health corner never ever disappoints in terms of bringing you what you need to know in the health sector. Patrick, talking about the health sector, yesterday the accident victims came to Lusaka, arrived in Lusaka, and the Minister of Health, Silva Masewa, received them, the four surviving victims from that accident, fatal accident, I must say. And we surely hope they get well soon, so that they're able to tell the real story of what exactly happened. Because what we are meant to understand, that what we have been fed by the authority is that one of these trucks collided with this and that, but the actual survivors of this will be able to tell exactly what the story was like. And we would want to talk to them after they are well, just to see how they are faring from the trauma that they experience. For now, though, let's look at what the doctors have brought for us from the Medical Women Association of Zambia. And later on, we will delve into today's conversation. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to your health segment on the Breakfast Show. I'm Dr. Chelo Mwanza, a pediatrician and a member of the Medical Women Association of Zambia. Your health segment is proudly and happily brought to you by the Medical Women Association of Zambia. This week, we're looking at the importance of under 5 clinic visits and its components and activities that actually do take place when we take our children for under 5. So far, we have looked at how we can monitor a child's growth, that's their weight, their height, and the brain development. We've also looked at appropriate play and brain stimulation. We've looked at vaccinations, and we've also looked at nutrition. We've looked at different food varieties that can help your child grow. Today, we're going to look at the HIV services that we do offer at the under 5 clinic. So, as you bring your child for under 5 clinic, we are going to screen both the mother, you as a mother or as a guardian, as you bring your child, and also the child for HIV. As a country, we are working towards elimination of mother-to-child transmission. And that's why from conception, most of our mothers have noted that the screening starts right from the time you book for your antenatal visits. In an event that you test negative at the very beginning, we are going to test you as a mother, as an expecting mother, every 3 months for the HIV, and you are also encouraged to come with your husband so that even them too can be tested so that we can prevent this child from acquiring the HIV. In an event that a mom is already on treatment for HIV or they do test positive for their HIV during their antenatal, start their mom on treatment there and then. So this is to prevent the baby from acquiring the HIV. So these HIV services do continue even after you deliver your child. So as you take the child for the under 5 clinics, we are going to continue screening you as a mother and even as a child for HIV. And so the most important thing or the important aspects of these under 5 visits is that we're going to enable us to test your child accordingly, because at different ages we do run different tests to detect the HIV virus in the child. So if a mom is not HIV positive, we will, as long as this mom continues to breastfeed, we're going to test the mother every 3 months so that the child does not get the HIV through the breast milk. In an event that the mom is already on treatment, we're going to put the child on what we call prophylaxis medication. So this is to help prevent the child from acquiring the HIV. And we're also going to continue encouraging this particular parent to continue taking their drugs as they are supposed to. And we also continue to test this child using different test methods according to their age group. Whilst you're at the under 5 clinics, we know that HIV cannot only be gotten as a child is born, but also through breast milk, even as you breastfeed your child. So we're going to discuss with you the best feeding practices for your child. You may opt to not breastfeed your child and just go on the formula way. That's still fine. We'll support you as long as you can afford the formula milk. If you want to breastfeed your child, we're still going to support you and give you the required guidelines for us to be able to protect your child. So as you take a look at this under 5 clinic, at every stage you will notice that at birth we may need to test your child using what we call a PCR test. At about 6 weeks again, we're still going to test your child. At 6 months, we're going to test your child. So depending on the result. So if your child tests positive at 6 weeks, we're going to move from the prophylaxis medication to the actual treatment that they need. In an event that your child tests negative to HIV at birth, means we need to test them at 6 weeks. So if at 6 weeks the test is still negative, so I'm talking about a situation where this mother is on treatment because they're HIV positive. Okay, so at 6 weeks, we're going to test. At 6 months, we're going to test. At 1 year, we're going to test. So now, at this point, the test will change from the PCR to the rapid test, which we normally use in the general population. And so if your child continues to test negative, even at 12 weeks, and you continue to breastfeed, so we're going to test the child again at 18 months, which is 1.5 years. At this point, if your child tests negative, it means they are negative, and by this time would have already stopped the prophylaxis medication. So these are some of the services that we give at the under 5 clinic. So if your child has HIV or has acquired the HIV, we're still going to continue seeing the child, giving them the required medication, and also at 6 weeks we're going to introduce Septrin. So Septrin prevents your child from having other diseases that can further worsen their immune system. We're going to continue talking with you, the parent, the best feeding practices, and even the best family planning services. So these are methods that, in an event that you are breastfeeding, we're going to look for the best options that will not affect your milk production, but at the same time also help you to have children when you desire, and also to enable this child that you have to grow even before you can have the next child. So, having talked about HIV, which is not the only disease that can affect this child that's growing, the other illnesses that we need to look out for, which are outlined in the under 5 clinic. So even as you come for these visits, we are going to teach you what to look out for in a child that has diarrhea, for instance. If your child has had one loose stool, or really when you notice that the stool that the child is passing is lighter than usual, it means your child has diarrhea. So we're going to teach you how to make the ORS and how to give it. If your child is vomiting and they cannot tolerate the ORS, or they're not just drinking it, they're spitting it, it means your child may need to be taken to the hospital because they need to have this fluid replaced that they're passing as diarrhea. If you see your child's lips getting dry, if you see their eyes sunkening, deepening, it means your child is actually dehydrated. If you see that they're actually losing weight and their skin, when you pinch it, it doesn't go back as easily as it's supposed to, it means your child is dehydrated. And so all that information is shared even as you go for the under 5 visits. If your child has pneumonia, it means your child will be breathing fast, they'll have difficulties breathing, they'll have a fever, which is high body temperature. It means your child might be sick and has pneumonia. So all that information we're going to discuss with you as you come through for the under 5 clinic. So thank you for joining us in this health segment. This week, we've been looking at the importance of under 5 visits, their components, which is child growth monitoring. We talked about the weight, the height, the brain development. We went on to talk about the nutrition and how that breast milk is the best milk for every child, and that you need to exclusively breastfeed. So when you say exclusively, we mean you don't even need to add water because it's already contained in the milk that this child is giving for the first 6 months. And that solid foods, porridge is also solid food, so other foods can only be added at about 6 months. We talked about vaccinations, how that these children need to get vaccinated to prevent them from acquiring deadly diseases and also spreading them to their other children in the household. We also talked about how, to take care of your child in an event that they're unwell. Let's say they have diarrhea, so you need to give them the ORS, or danger signs to look for. If your baby is having difficulties breathing, they are breathing so fast, they have a fever, you need to take them to the hospital. Above that, we talked about HIV services, what tests we're going to do, the feeding methods that you need to give in a child who's HIV positive, and also the giving of Septrin. I talked about vitamin A supplementation for both the mother and the child, and also deworming services. Thank you so much. This health segment was proudly and happily brought to you by the Medical Women Association of Zambia. I'm Dr. Chelo Mwanza, a pediatrician. Thank you.
All right, so there you have it. The doctors never ever disappoint. You can call us and send us those text messages as usual on the segment so that you can advise or call on the doctors to specifically focus on a topic that you may want to learn more about. Today the topic was HIV, and Dr. Mwanza there who was talking about HIV in children and how you can prevent it, and how many tests they conduct for them to actually verify that the child is indeed negative, for them to stop giving them that medication they give them for prevention when they are born. So at least they do about 3, 4, 5 tests to ensure that they verify indeed the child is negative. And if you don't want to be breastfeeding your child, she clearly stated that they will support you, they will advise you on how you can go about it. And if you want to be breastfeeding your child while you are an HIV mother, they will also advise you how you can go about it to ensure that you and your child are safety. She also talked about issues to do with the family planning methods that you can take, and she advises as well so that you can take before you have the next child. Indeed, Patrick, it's the world is changing, and the people that are positive are having children, no more children, unlike in the old days where when you're tested positive, actually it would mean death sentence, and people would say, sometimes they would even start isolating themselves from you. They'll give you your own plates, they'll give you your own carbs, but then with time, people have begun to realize HIV is not like that. And we've got a number of them that are living positive, great, good lives. So really, that was our topic this morning. Patrick, any comment on that?
Yeah, I think you've said it all. I think you know this subject better. Prevention of HIV from mother to child.
Yes.
That's quite a good program which Zambia is equally implementing to make sure that we mitigate the impact of HIV in the country. As you already know, Sharon, I think we have been recording incidents, especially among adolescents, there, which is an indication that there are some gaps pertaining to adolescent health. And we just have to make sure that we address this issue. We know that adolescents, when they are getting more involved in sexual activities, they are at risk, for instance, of when they want to give birth to children, when they have they are infected with the pandemic or the virus. You discover that if they are not well informed, you may transfer the disease to the child.
Of course.
But like the doctor was saying, it's possible you are a positive mother to give birth to a child who is negative. But you have to do the right thing. There are measures that health personnel recommend to ensure that you just do that. We are able to deliver healthy children. And if we're talking about a generation that is HIV-free, then it starts with everyone.
Exactly.
We have to make sure that we minimize on new infections, and that's something that as a country we need to pay attention to, because we've seen that the new infection are still high, especially amongst adolescents. And if we do not address that, then it will be difficult for us to address now we are going towards if we're talking about the 100, we're talking about the 90, 95, 95. But now the overall target is 100, making sure that people who are HIV are put on treatment, those we work on viral suppression, all those issues. So when we achieve that, then we know that we are on course towards addressing HIV. So, and we are going to make sure that we also look at other topics, Sharon, pertaining to the health corner. Like you mentioned before we started, you mentioned the aspect of the accident that happened earlier this week. And we haven't talked anything pertaining to accidents. So I think our doctors need to also discuss how you can respond on the ground.
Yes, on the ground, to accident victims.
Accident victims. Yeah, another issue is also pertaining to adolescent health. So we see how we can also put on those subjects so that we can equally engage our viewers on these two important subjects. Indeed,
Patrick, let's look at how the kwacha is faring. I guess our major convertibles this morning, and the United States dollar is buying at 15 kwacha 55 ngwe and selling at 15 kwacha 86 ngwe. The euro is at 15 kwacha 49 ngwe and selling at 15 kwacha 8 ngwe. The Great British Pound is at 17 kwacha 71 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 06 ngwe. While the South African rand is at 0.87 ngwe and selling at 0.89 ngwe. Those are your money markets as of today, the 21st of September 2022. The year is coming to a close, and just for the record, Patrick, next week the Minister of Finance is issuing presenting actually the national budget for 2023, and not much has been done insofar as the 2022 national budget. Let's talk about the CDF, Patrick, briefly. I saw some statements yesterday flying all over social media when it was announced that the minister will next week Friday present the national budget for 2023, and people are like, Imwe, we have to pay this. You know, the comments on Facebook are really something else. When we posted that on our page, they were like, Imwe, we have to pay this. You think we are not aware? And others brought in very, very insightful discussions and discussing all over the page. They were like, ECDF, it was 25.7 million, and then you've just released not even more than 5 million for certain constituencies. Where is the rest of the money going? You know, when we have a lot of things that are happening, of course the money goes back to the treasury, but what do we need to do to ensure that this money is used in a better way and for the intended purpose? Because you cannot be having money in the bank while things are not happening.
Yes.
Or in the name of what? Chicago treasury.
Quite an important discussion, Sharon, and you got the perspective from the view, from the people who follow our page, and Zambians are talking. For me, they like you were saying, well, it goes back to the issue of budget credibility. To what extent is our budget credible in terms of upholding what we pronounce in the budget? So we pronounce 25.7 million kwacha, but on the ground we only disburse, let's say, 10 million kwacha. It is not adequate.
I'm not sure if any of the constituencies has received 10 million.
So now that money has to be spent probably instantly. I think people need to start spending that money. For me, it does not make sense or logical sense, Sharon, when you have not yet even dispersed the other money, and you're already talking about another budget. We'll be having another budget. We need to also disburse 25.7 million in the next budget.
In the next budget, but probably even increase. You know, this administration is very ambitious, Patrick. they brought us the boom of a budget, like over 13 billion or something. Like that. So really, people were shocked about this budget. So maybe she budgeted 2023 to cover 200.
Yes, so, even us as the media house, what we'll do is that we'll be looking at to what extent has the pronouncement
exactly
been implemented
to the implementation.
Yes, so even as we go towards the 2023 national budget, so that we should probably minimize our excitement. We may be getting excited over things that will not come to fruition.
Figures, excited by figures.
Yes, so we need to make sure that we track the budget. We understand to say what has been done, what has not been done. Like you are saying, Sharon, there are a number of policy pronouncements that were in the 2022 national budget. But when you go on the ground, like let's talk to the issue of CDF. And I was also looking at another issue where the Ministry of Local Government was responding to pertaining to the purchase of vehicles, where they opted for a direct bidding for Toyota Zambia to get those vehicles. However, I do not see. Okay, anyway, I would not say much about that.
This is something they condemn. But, you know what people are against, or what people are really frowning about, is that they're doing the very things they were against.
For me, Sharon,
that's what they are doing.
How are you arriving at someone to say we are direct bidding you, Sharon and company? Why? Why Sharon and company and not Elijah and company? So that's a question. You understand? So for me, I would suggest that you're not being fair if you're just directly sourcing services from Sharon. When I feel I also have the capacity.
I have the capacity.
And this is provided in the Procurement Act, but I think the same law was applied previously, and we complained as citizens, and we are still doing the same thing. I think, don't you think that these people are also making the PF feel vindicated on the issue pertaining to the supply of farming inputs?
Of course.
Because we saw that, we know that we need to procure fertilizer.
You can't procure fertilizer now.
Seed. But do you have to wait up to the last minute and say because of
September,
because of time and because of some irregularities that we witnessed, we have to single source the supplier? For me, the single sourcing component is where the issue of corruption comes in. Because people say probably you are in good books to the person you're trying to single source. No wonder you do not want to subject it to competition. There may be other better bidders who can do that. So for me, you have to wait up to the last minute and then say we are going to single source the supplier. And you tend to make others who are criticizing the government vindicated, because it was not too long ago when we had, for instance, Patriotic Front aspiring President Brian Mundubire suggesting that they have been dilly-dallying on the farmers' input so that they should single source. And yesterday, the Minister of Agriculture confirmed to say, we are, because of ABCD, some abnormalities that were recorded in the tender procedure, so we have opted to go for a direct bid. But how sure that this supply you are settling for is credible and will deliver to your expectation? So these are concerns.
And you know, this idea of transparency sometimes in one of your.
So for me, it goes back to what corruption that has been happening in the past and still happening, where it is systematic, because you follow the Procurement Act and everything, you look at that and that, then they say, but I followed the procedure and everything. So it's difficult to prove you wrong, all those things.
Dubiously got those contracts. However, we surely hope that things will begin to change. I know other people have been calling for time for this administration. Give them time. I'm just not sure how much time we're going to give them, because we're in the second year and we still see these things happening. Surely we hope probably 2023 we'll see different things happening. However, it's not sitting well with many people. You cannot be sourcing for farming inputs in September. This is a time that things are supposed to be dispatched.
Yes,
because we've got far-flung areas where even the process is very slow to just settle there to be stationed there so that people can be coming to get their inputs. It's really far from where you stationed, so it will take them 3 days to come there and get those inputs, and 3 days back home. But then if you deliver those inputs probably in December, sometimes October 25th, it's only that the issues of climate change and stuff. But well, way back, Patrick, we knew that rains would start.
Even in October, Sharon, we should be.
Exactly.
People are already will start
doing what they're supposed to do with their fields. The fields will be ready. Actually, even up to today, now, Elijah's field is ready.
So you understand.
Elijah but
he has not yet received Yeah.
However, let's look at one of the stories that aired yesterday. A 19-year-old man on Lusaka Salama Park, accused of murdering both his parents in cold blood, has been committed to the Lusaka High Court for summary trial proceedings. This is in a matter in which Wushiwe Mwakachea is facing 2 counts of murder contrary to Section 200 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. When the matter came up for committal, the court questioned the accused on why he misled the court in the last session, claiming he was 18 years old instead of 19, following confirmation by his aunt. Let's look at the story brought to us by Miriam Kaima from the courtroom. We will continue to follow up this story. Obviously, you will remember that in Salama Park, I think about last month, there was an incident where a male son killed his parents allegedly. Actually, the court is still trying to prove that. Allegedly murdered his parents in cold blood. Let's look at this story and see what Miriam brought for us, and we will continue with the conversation.
A young man accused of being behind the gruesome murder of his parents earlier this year has been committed to the Lusaka High Court for a summary trial proceedings following the issuance of a certificate of committal by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. 19-year-old Wushimbwe Mwakachea of Lusaka Salama Park area is facing 2 counts of murder contrary to Section 200 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. The accused was questioned this morning, the 20th of September 2022, when he appeared before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court on why he misled the court in the last session by claiming that he was 18 years old of age instead of 19, following a confirmation by his aunt. His aunt, who appeared before Magistrate Jacqueline Gondwe this morning to confirm his age, told the court that according to his national registration card, the accused is 19 years old and not 18, as earlier indicated on the court's record. Following the issuance of the committal, Wushimbwe Mwakachea will appear before the Lusaka High Court in the second criminal court session. According to a recent statement issued by the police, the 19-year-old on the 6th of August 2022 killed his 53-year-old father, Nathaniel Mwakachea, and his 52-year-old mother, Alfonsina Mwakachea. The accused, who is said to be the firstborn of the deceased, was said to have been in a confrontation with his parent as they were trying to take him to a rehabilitation center following claims that he was abusing drugs. But on the night of the 5th of August 2022, when they went to bed, the accused is said to have committed the alleged act. The bodies of the victims are alleged to have been found wrapped in a blanket and tied on each end with a wire. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News. Various witnesses have continued to testify in a case in which former Defense Minister Geoffrey Mwamba is facing 24 counts of corruption-related charges. Tuesday morning, the Lusaka's Magistrate Court, under the Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court, heard that Mr. Mwamba, who is also Opposition Patriotic Front member of the Central Committee, received more than 70 million kwacha through his bank account from the Ministry of Finance for various transactions. Ida Kaluba, a banker, however, told Magistrate Stanford Ngobola during a cross-examination that there was nothing illegal to the transfers of the money from the ministry to the accused. In this case, Mr. Mwamba is facing 8 counts of conflict of interest, 1 count of money laundering, and 15 counts of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, charges which he has denied before Magistrate Ngobola. According to the charges before court, the accused is alleged in the first to the 8th count to have between December 2012 and 2013 failed to disclose interest in writing relating to 8 contracts for the supply of shelter tents for the Zambia Army valued at more than $1 million United States dollars, and specialized watermanship equipment for the Zambia Army valued at more than $4 million United States dollars, which were awarded to Cozon Global Limited, and the transaction affected the Ministry of Defense. In count 9, Mr. Mwamba is accused of money laundering involving $632,000 United States dollars between the 1st of January 2020 and the 30th of October 2020. Allegations in count 10 to 24 are that the accused between January 2015 and August 2021 possessed more than $2 million United States dollars suspected to be illegal gotten. By broadcast time, over 4 state witnesses had so far testified in the case. Trial continues in the matter. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
All right, that is the courtroom there, bringing us very, very juicy stories. Geoffrey Wayamwamba there was appearing yesterday in court, and this is not a new story. However, we continue to follow these stories to ensure that they reach the logical conclusion. Before that story, we ran the story for this Mwakachea boy who murdered his parents in cold blood, allegedly, and the court is still trying to prove that. We will continue also to bring you that story and see to it that it reaches its logical conclusion. Previously in the court session, Patrick, he lied to the court that he was 18, and if you are 18 years and below, you are judged as a juvenile and you're not given the sentence that you deserve as an adult. But yesterday, his aunt actually told the court that no, this boy is no longer a boy, as we are calling him. Instead, he's a man aged 19. And therefore, he will be judged according to that age. And yesterday, the matter was committed to the High Court to see if at all they can start probably the whole procedure. Very sad story indeed. Very, very sad story. But we wanted to see actually what happened. We'll follow it up and see.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting story in that this is a child who murders his parents allegedly. But it's quite delicate. It reminds us of various issues that are happening in our communities, Sharon, pertaining to drug and substance abuse, which young people are being subjected to. And if we are not careful as a nation, such incidences will continue to repeat themselves. Hence, we need to be proactive to ensure that we mitigate some of these vices. At the end of the day, you discover that we see children going astray or getting entangled with groups that are suspicious or friends that have a questionable character. And as parents, sometimes we tend to pay a blind eye. And that tends to continue to be seen as normal until something worse happens. For me, for that boy to have reached an extent of attacking the parents, it should have been deviant, or maybe others who have been.
Obviously, he expressed, he exhibited deviant behavior, and sometimes we parents are too busy for our children. You know, when they reach probably 17, 18, we begin to just think, mokolo. But I think we need to constantly continue to guide our children and see to it that they are in the right path. Of course, they will be deviant at some point, but they will always come back to their normalcy and do the correct things. But this which happened really will go down in history as one of the saddest things around that area, and the neighbors really will never ever forget that incident. And yeah, it's just a sad story. That's all. That's all we can say. It's a sad story.
Yeah, so it's up to us as a country, as parents. You know, I think everything starts from the family. If the family is disintegrated, if Sharon is too busy to talk to the child, then it means that the child will find other people to talk to. Now, these other people may be talking to the child, maybe it's feeling wrong motives.
They'll tell them, all
those things,
just take this substance, you're going to
feel better. Yes, yeah. So at the end of the day, you discover that by the time you realize you want to sit down your child, it's too late. Yeah, so even as parents, we need to make sure that we constantly engage our children so that we just make sure that they grow up as we desire. You teach them
have
biblical principles so that you give them that responsibility to say God does not need a child who behaves in a certain way.
Yeah.
That tends to help children refrain from some bad things. And we can only do that as parents. But nowadays we discover that most of the times, especially in compounds, parents are drinking alcohol together with children, and you find that there's no respect. There is no time to reprimand the child. All those things.
No. Actually, even the other, you give an example of probably I would call them highly
densely populated
areas. But then you've got areas again, the parents are too busy. They'll just pay a full bouquet for one of these pay TV channels, platforms. They'll just pay a full bouquet and continue working. I think I was watching one of the TikToks videos where this man was saying, we should create time for our loved ones. It could be your wife, your husband, your children, just relatives. Let us not be too busy and weaponize trying to create a better life against the loved ones. In an event they complain, say, you don't have time for us. You tell them, don't you want food? And then they'll obviously say, of course we want food, so let me work. I'm busy working, bringing food for you. So this man was actually advising families to stop doing that, especially men. Like men should start creating time for their families, for their children, and not consume themselves in work with the excuse of bringing food on the table. And really that caught my attention because a lot of us would say, Mom, you're never home, but I'm working. I'm working. And your content is that response. I'm working, I need to bring food on the table. If I stay home without bringing food, what are you going to do? But then it is not a very good response, in as much as it is the truth. I think it's important to find a better way of sitting down, maybe having a conversation. It could be even once a week, just family time, You have conversations. Make children feel comfortable so that they can be able to talk to you, bring out these issues, and see where there are lapses. Look at their books and see if they're improving or not at school. Just talk to them. As a parent, I think, of course, we learn every day. But you will observe certain kind of behaviors in your children and you will say, no, this is not the right way. But then if you're too busy, you won't notice that. By the time you realize that, it's too late to want because probably they think, I want to take care of myself, I want to protect myself. For what and from who, So let us ensure that we take care of our children. We be observant and just give them the time, even once a week.
Yeah, so you two, our dear viewers, in case you want to comment on any of the stories that we have just zoomed in, you can do so. You can equally comment on the topic of discussion before our guest joins us. We will be looking at this topic in detail. And you can send us your text messages, as well as on Facebook page, you can leave us a message. We'll be able to read it out.
Indeed, Patrick. Of course, starting from Saturday, the UPND has been a hive of activity. Starting from the youths, you covered the story in Kanyama constituency. Obviously, the other guys that covered that did the breakfast show yesterday and the other day, they talked briefly about it. But us focusing on issues to do with politics and stuff, we're also bringing it here. And our topic this morning is, has the United Party for National Development neglected its members? This topic is emanating from the issue that happened on Saturday, where youths were protesting, demanding that their elections chairman, Garen Kombo, be removed because he necessitated the loss in Luangwa district, where there was a by-election. That is at least according to them. According to them. And also calling for the removal of the Secretary General Batuke Emenda and replacing him with Obvious Mwaliteta. Of course, Obvious Mwaliteta has been there. He's been a cadre, for lack of a better term, for a very long time in the UPND. And he's been on the ground. He understands the UPND according to them. Also, we are making sure that we are not quoted wrongly and insinuating that we are the ones that are propelling this agenda. So whatever we are saying here regarding this is according to the youths that we covered. Therefore, this is our topic of discussion. Later on, we will have a guest in the studio from the UPND administration or UPND party on the youth wing, talking about this among other issues that we will bring into. Obviously, it's been 1 year of the UPND. A lot of promises have been made and a lot of things have not been done. So we will also be delving into such conversations, Patrick, to see to it that we harmonize these conversations and understand them better. We may be judging them harshly.
But the sad part is that all this confusion and everything is amongst themselves.
Yes.
It's not like an external party comes.
The opposition parties are just taking advantage.
So others are just counterizing on the perceived weaknesses of the ruling party, and but neglecting. If you say neglecting, don't you think we would say neglecting the entire country, because the UPND administration owes the responsibility to develop this country to the nation.
Everyone.
Are there special privileges that need to be given to members, Sharon, in your perspective?
I wouldn't, of course, really. Let me just be honest. I think people support somebody because they want to benefit something. I think this is something that people need to realize. And I saw one of them really saying that UPND mungawalangathi boss ningo friends that forming a cooperative. That's forming a cooperative. But then I am hungry today. You want me to form a cooperative that will take probably 6 months for me to see the fruits.
Does that also validate that that saying that Antonio Manza had when he was seated here, that
to some extent, anyway, they've got their own way of running things. Each administration, Patrick, each family has its own way of running its affairs. And this administration has its own way. They're saying no handouts. At least it's one of the things that has really come out so prominent. And no cadreism in bus stations and markets.
Which one do you support?
And I'm going to be on the. I'm not taking sides.
If it was
no, I am not.
Would you go for Tantameni?
You're not putting me on the spot. You're not putting me on the spot.
For me, I would go for no handout.
Of course, you've got your own reasons, but equally myself, I've got my own reasons why I don't want to take sides. No, Barry shouldn't hear this. He shouldn't hear this.
I know you also don't like Tantameni.
He's very much against the Tantameni issue.
You don't like Tantameni.
But I think, isn't it something that was happening just during elections? The Tantameni issue in the previous administration?
Yeah, that's why we're saying that the Tantameni, even the issue of CADRES thing, that's a Tantameni arrangement where you don't work, you just go and put on that military regalia and that big boot, and the panga somewhere. You go in the market and say, give me 5 kwachas, everyone who's trading here.
But at the same time, I think information is not being communicated to properly. Of course, what they want to do is to clean up the system. But then cleaning up the system requires that you lay down procedures. For one of the things that we're complaining about was that Gary Nkombo, is Minister of Local Government and Elections Chairman in the party, was saying no cadreism in markets, do not even paint an office red. Again, that is one thing they were against. But what they needed to do as the party is to tell them not to collect revenue. Because one of the people that we interviewed from the party was saying, of course we need structures on the ground to ensure that the party is solid. Because most of these people spend their time in markets. That's where they spend their time. If we say we don't have people organizing the party at that level, then we are going nowhere. So what they need to do is just to ensure that don't collect revenue.
Let's take that call.
You know. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning, thank you.
Patrick Soko, good morning, Professor.
Yes, and you, sir.
Mr. Chinza on the line.
Mr. Chinza, let's go ahead. Give us your perspective as usual.
Thank you so much, my brother. I want to be very, very honest with you. I'm like, whatever is the issue. And the road behind that process is not unlike obvious humanity sector. Point number one. Even in the way you are like our info party spokesperson Korea, you can really speak from his attitude that you are living in guilty conscience. So the truth of the matter is that to analyze and evaluate that man. It's full of fear mentality. Can this one be the chief administrator of the party? The answer is no. But you must understand the fact that the people, the foot soldiers who are that labor a lot, who are there against the force of fear, fighting with the fear to secure UPND is there. If government has a demand for some, you should follow those that were forward cooperative. That's the requirement for the guy who's working a lot. The grassroots things are actually important. After the guy that you go at 44. Okay? So some of the leaders, they are not expressed themselves with the grassroots. However, the procedure which they actually use is not constitutional, it's not embedded in the DNA of UPND. That is the PS mentality. And I know the people who are, if the young people who have been supporting this guy to be the manifestation, I want to be talking about this. I'll give an example of why it is. The police officer from Central, your party is so busy with me. That's why I'm talking with solidarity. The police, they went to at the core of the day, the police behind the action ban the CADRES. What happens now at the Mantawa there? Police, they went and go that office. And the go and ask the lawyers, the council manager can take you the number for the Mantawa. The people working there at the office in that station is not as the discretion so and the advantage. If you want to find the office, all give it to the officer commanding for the Tana province is that Tana City. Sometimes the way there at office is the office for the time. And I'm surprised some of these guys when the speaker is reacting the office. Don't need the people who are on the street, never mean the office, but these guys are very well when the people are he speaks the truth. Not in the front, so that's why I get the advantage that they are there. There is also another reason who the minister member of party for a medical consultation. These guys are always waiting to speak to that the party that is brought down. My brother guys for the Mantan is very, very careful some of these people. And he must also told down. That's what I need to say that the youth are not very ignorant. That's not the way you have to be talking. That you will suffer out. He must always say correct my job. He didn't say to the rest of the class of the people. Even though my friend is done with this one. So let's talk about who think who on their own drive. That you must listen. Why is it that you guys are expecting? I think today, what the truth of the matter is today, after what it is where it is today. So for me, it is not good for them to go in the street. It's not good to advocate for the removal of Calico and the SG and to be member in that way. But we must not throw out the fact that of course people who are hiding in the name of holding the NLC National Management Committee party position, once they are the patriotic, criminality to correct humanity is a station. And these are the people who have just what mentioned that fear or favor. I thank you.
All right, thank you so much,
Mr. Chinza, for that.
You too can join in the conversation and contribute to what we are discussing this morning. Has the United Party for National Development neglected its members? We have seen a hive of activity within the party this week, and they've been complaining, calling for things to change. And this is not actually the first time this is happening. It has been happening until last week, Saturday, when they were calling for the resignation or for the removal of the elections chairman. Obviously, this is stated by the law Sila Kalipai.
Yeah, but I think the law Sila Kalipa. But again, if you mentioned, there were various aspects that these youths were pointing out to Sharon.
Exactly.
They were saying that it's because they're not happy that Garin Combo is closing down the markets, the UPND offices in markets and in bus stations. But however, the minister has been holding a genuine motive in that this is the agenda that President Ichilema has espoused to ensure that no one uses the party to interfere on the people's desires, or not to impose things on the people, especially in these public facilities such as markets, Sharon. So, but while the minister is doing that, others feel is stepping on their toes. But for me, Sharon, the minister has also been doing the right thing, because at the end of the day, you see, the offices just don't exist. When they exist in those markets, they may exist normally, but when they are existing, others use the same offices to conduct illegalities and infringe on the rights of others. And when the reports reach the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, what do you expect? Isn't it closing them down? But if truly they are genuinely operating in those markets and without any interference or anything, I don't think anyone would hold any bad intentions or thoughts about that, Sharon.
Well, let's see about this. You two can have your say on this very important topic. Let's get interactive. Let's have the conversation. We want to hear what you think about this.
What about if we play that clip, Sharon, for the first one, when these guys protested the first time?
All right. Mr. B, let's play the story that we aired on Saturday and just refresh our memory for the topic that we're having today. Let's look at this story, and thereafter we continue the conversation, and our guest will be on set as we delve into this conversation from the horse's mouth. Let's look at this story.
We stayed in opposition for 23 years. Why should we be in power for 5 years?
These are youths belonging to the governing United Party for National Development UPND protesting over the recent party loss in the Luangwa Council District chairperson elections to the opposition Patriotic Front, lack of jobs and empowerment. Political history suggests that President Hakainde Hichilema assured the UPND cadres of good times ahead.
Do not become the new thugs in town.
We have a lot for you, more than you have ever imagined. So don't disturb, don't spoil your dish. We have a lot.
But the youths in Lusaka's Kanyama constituency feel the dish is taking too long to be ready, as leaders allegedly seem to have abandoned them, citing Secretary General Batuke Imenda. They feel the party is losing popularity after 1 year in office, given that the people on the grassroots have been neglected.
Within our chana, our sales munombaka nyama, kupezeka kuti machani ma structures na ma branches yonse yanaonongeka because of the same Garin Combo who is saying pamene mwapeza ma offices ya UPND yonse ni kupra mwe avare no yapenta mwamene yafunika kunkalira. Number 2, chamene chatireta pano ni embarrassment ya president. The issue which happened in Kukavushi when the president was on stage. My question in Yaguti Nanga ifunso yanga ni Yaguti. But president then in a court basevenza branch. There is no need Yaguti president at the stage then Gujandra utibarulinga kuti leka vamene uchita choka pa stage. That was embarrassment yandani ya president. Tidandaura guti koti isevenzele pamozi na chani na president. Viva you viva. So tipe leadership iri pamwamba iseruke ione pants. Na president atumebansi aseruke pants aone vamene chichitika. Instead yo nama bagazina ma president no.
The accused local government and rural development minister Garin Combo of crippling the party for shutting down some offices over alleged clandestine political activities, further complaining of delays to access the Constituency Development Fund CDF.
So rating Combo tone it down so that ayangane bantu bake bari pachani bari pants. Combo stimu funa is the mayusi. Then stimu funa ba SG kuti baichechane ba pitirize. Mwari teta isetifuna utaichechane ateknye over aziba problem ya bandani ya mayusi background.
Akambe ko number 1 wa president stiwa blema maning but wamena wana sankiwa izi zingono zili pants when Garin Combo when SG kai stinga stay expect a president of State House abwa control situation kapena ni Msoweto kapena ndikuno nanga hivi vivantu samena nafisankira sani hivi vivantu wanavisanka vifunika kusebenza vabwera not zembekeza wa president.
They say the president is not being told the truth on the welfare of UPND supporters and the Zambian people in general.
Free education, yes, iriko. But nga tulipe ndrama yowosha pa school pakuti mwana wako aende. Sanga ngene, wana watu wakari mkombo just because tulipe ndrama. Tafutika muruling. Tafutika mu opposition, tafutika futi muruling. Nishanchichitika.
Ati mapati yana ngaya, ba PF bali organize ma branch yabo na mapati ya sebenza. But chipani cha UPND chambira chepa district kuenda pa mwamba. Kuyambira constituency kubofika pa branch chipani nicho kufa.
We want to keep the UPND in power. We stayed in opposition for 23 years. Why should we be in power for 5 years? It is shameful. Viva youth, viva!
We spoke to UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda, who by broadcast time was unable to give a comment owing to an engagement. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
United Party for National Development Youths in Kanyama constituency Saturday protested against what they called anomalies in the party, among them the directive by election chairperson Gary Nkombo that all party offices and markets be removed, and a serious call for the replacement of the party Secretary General Batuke Imenda with Lusaka Province Chairperson Obvious Mwali Teta. According to the youths, this uncoordinated leadership resulted in the loss of the Luangwa chairperson by election last week.
Stimufuna is a mayusi. Then Stimufuna by SG kuti baichechana bapitirize. Mwari Teta isetifuna utaichechana ateknya over aziba problem yabandani ya mayuts background.
However, UPND Deputy National Youth Chairperson Trevor Mwinde tells Camnet News that the protest is regrettable, urging the youths to engage the party if they are aggrieved.
Support His Excellency the President, and if you have got issues, let us go and address with him in a very mature and stable manner without demonizing anybody. The same women that they are talking about, Secretary General, is a Secretary General who helped us win, because he was a national coordinator of the polling station management systems across the country. So we want to believe that we have had an amicable, good working relationship, and the President is watching and he's listening. We want to distance ourselves as youth leadership from all such youths that have taken the role of cadres who want to bring confusion and topple leadership. I don't think, because today it can be on the SG, tomorrow it will be on me. So we don't want to copy the PF style of leadership, that which saw the hounding out of Winter Gabimba. In UPND, the methods and the culture of work is very different.
Mr. Mwinde also says the party functionaries should remain united and support the vision of President Hakainde Hichilema and the people he has charged responsibility with.
We will be able to take punitive measures, but for youths that are not in the structures will not be in the position to take punitive measures. But the party leadership will sit down and make a roadmap, and the public will be made aware very soon. And I want to also say that we are calling for unity amongst all our structures, and we believe in the youth leadership, we believe in the women folk leadership and every other person across the country. And dear Zambians, His Excellency the President and the leadership of the party will sit and create a roadmap.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka. Welcome back. You're still watching the Camnet Breakfast. Those are two stories that have necessitated this morning's topic. And on set, we are joined by United Party for National Development Deputy National Youth Chairperson, Mr. Trevor Mwinde, and he will help us discuss a number of issues happening in the party concerning the youths and part of the governance issues. Mr. Mwinde, welcome to the interview.
I'm grateful to you, Madam Shalom, and Party V. Party V, Patrick Soko, UPND, and heading to the viewers out there. I'm humbled to be part of your program this morning.
To get started, Mr. Mwinde, first of all, how is the UPND failing this far? We give you this leverage to talk about yourself.
Well, the best measure to see how a political party is faring, I think in all honesty, it should not come from me. It should come from the Zambians. And people like you, because you are the pace setters, and in as much as one is, you can even call, I'll give an example of one can say, me, I'm a Christian, and that Christianity level or religious level can only be measured by the people that see your actions and what you do to others and how you lead your life. So even as a politician, we believe that service delivery is the core reason as to why we are in politics. But in order to say this is how we are faring, I have known and I've seen, I've had the privilege to work outside politics, and we have observed government leadership transitioning from one leader to another. We became quite effective during Chiruba's time. Then we followed through into Manawasa. We became quite more competent in politics during Arabi's time and Michael Sata's time and ECL's time. We have seen what governments have been doing in terms of service delivery to its people. I must also confess right here, because I may be doing a disservice to myself if I don't confess that there are certain good things that which each and every regime might have had an opportunity to do to the Zambian economy and the well-being of the people. As for historical, going back into the Arabi's days, I believe everybody else, even those that are watching us out there, liquidity was all over. We were able to make our little bit of change of money here and there. And during President Michael Sata's reign, I think there was also a bit of a fight against corruption. Money was tight. It was not as it was during Arabi's time. Why am I giving a historical background? It's quite critical for us to appreciate where we are. And during Michael Sata's time, there was a wage freeze and the employment freeze. We did not see a lot of people getting employed. In as much as we had graduates coming out of colleges and universities, there was no opportunity of people getting a chance to be employed by government. And then we come to ECL, we saw massive construction of roads, in as much as they were pointing at a road and they were also building mansions for themselves. There was a lot of no fiscal discipline or proper management of monies, public financial management in the country was let loose. In as much as we had the Minister of Finance spokesperson giving us updates on the roadmap, we had billboards showing a lot of projects of what the government was doing there at that time, of which we appreciate. But one outstanding thing, that which I must mention to the Zambian people, the reason why maybe today our youths are a little bit apprehensive, it's because during the Patriotic Front time, people were seen to dish out money carelessly, and they had money beyond their levels to manage it. So that alone managed to also boost the morale in the youth to say we need change. There are two things that which boost the morale to change. If people suffer too much, and if people enjoy too much, yes, so people want to find a midpoint in which to survive through and balance up, because we saw people rise from nowhere into somebody's, and God knows how they have maintained those levels to where they are today. And one of the key things, it was in the public procurement system, that which the PF used. It benefited a lot of their
party members,
because I think they were using a selective tender system, unlike the open bids that which the new donors brought in. Because these open bids, they rely on probably somebody with experience, somebody with the capacity, and all those. It is not a singular human approach like Trevor Mwinde or Gilbert Liswaniso or Cindy Kayuka or Chikota Stephen, Secretary General, Honorable Cornelius Moitwa, or whosoever, even His Excellency the President. We are anchor people that were appointed in these various departments to make sure that we work in a multi-sectoral and holistic approach to ameliorate the burden of the suffering in our society and to also add a voice. It's not that we have come to the TV because we have all the answers. We cannot monopolize knowledge or wisdom. So as we stand, the new Dawn administration, it has fulfilled on some of its campaign promises. His Excellency the President, he was saying, one, who will bring you real jobs. People are celebrating on building of roads, those that were given casual works, piece works to dig drainages and all. They were saying, the government is working. And in opposite to that, the new Dawn administration has brought in about 41,000 jobs, which is unprecedented. We have not heard about it. But one thing I know also of the civil service, not to disrespect the colleagues that are in public offices, one thing I know is that they listen too much because they are also educated, and they cannot guarantee maximum support to the government if at all they want. So we have seen that we have scored. We also managed to secure monies for the retirees. Tazara workers were paid, were not paid over a long period of time. We have had the much debated about free education, which His Excellency was promising that education will come and it will be accessible to all, and it has come to be. So as far as we are concerned, as a party, we have managed, and much also concerned our President. Okay. And we know that in certain sections of society, there are these imbalances where people are saying, no, look, we are not getting this, we are not getting this.
Interesting.
But it's the honors, you know. Why is it in other political parties, I must mention this, why is it in other political parties like ANC in South Africa have managed to stay long in power, is because they are also honest to themselves and the public they serve. So even us in the new Dawn administration, we don't want to kind of like be in the denial format. We want to be as honest as possible to the people that give us authority.
Okay, Mr. Mwinde, you've spoken about a number of issues, the procurement issues. Patrick obviously is itching to question that, but just hold your thoughts. The elephant in the house, Mr. Mwinde, is the youths that have allegedly been neglected. You've touched a bit about it, but then we've seen the protest. You saw the two stories that we played, starting from Saturday and Sunday. You gave a brief comment on the way forward insofar as those protests are concerned. But the bone of contention for the youths is that you have neglected them. What is the best approach that you think you're going to do going forward to ensure that such maturing protests do not continue? I mean, this is just the second year of you people in power. What more when you reach the third year? What more are we going to see if this is left to continue?
You know, I appreciate your question, ma'am. And I have confidence in the Zambian people that the roadmap, the beginning is as sober and firm as the promises were. So along the way, the internal structures of the party, starting from even a branch chairman, even at individual level, even I sit in I hold a right also to be one of the people that can go out and do what they are doing. But I am understanding that leadership has not only dawned on us or on me at personal level. We are doing these things for national interest, for the interest of the Zambian people, not only the UPND people inside the party. But I want to assure the youths that were protesting that their interests, and many other youths that were watching who were not courageous enough do what the friends did, that the leadership of the party is working around the clock, day and night, not as Trevor Mwinde alone. We are also engaging various stakeholders, including Honorable Nkombo, who is Minister of Local Government. We are engaging them to make sure that the burdens are off they are sure that the
Have you engaged the youths? Have you engaged the youths from Saturday?
We have, because you see, when a problem has come, solutions have to be found. And unless we use what we call the axiom theory, where we say if all possible alternatives and the possible solutions fail, you refer to rule number one. Rule number one is that we'll go back to them. When we get back to them, we must have tangible solutions such that they will also be able to come back to the public and inform the public of the benefits of having come out the way they came out. And we appreciate positive criticism because it builds us. It also allows us to be focused to make sure that we are not monkeying around.
You are among the youth wings. President again addressed to say, don't spoil your dish. And some of you are keen not on not spoiling your dish, but others feel the dish is taking too long. But how are you trying to help these others to say, hold on.
The dish is too
I
big.
must be in the position to state that if indeed those youths are from Kanyama constituency and the branches around Kanyama, of which a few selected few, I know them even by name, amongst those that were protesting. I've worked with them. And it's sad, but what I can just say is that a problem is there. And that problem, we have to face it using the secretariat. The very office that which they are saying this office must go. Secretariat must be in the position to speak directly into the minds of permanent secretaries, into the minds of ministers, into the minds of appointed officials. Imagine this is in Lusaka where we have the media at almost heartbeat distance away. What about in Lunte constituency? What about in Kawambwa? Yes. What about in Sinazongwe, Kafwambira? What about in Kashinakaji? What about in Dikolong? Yes, and what about Shunguru in Mfumbwe, where people have got no network, proper network? So we don't want to draw the public into believing that there's a problem which is unmanageable. All these problems, they have got their own solutions. If I had a way, if I was given the leeway to say, how do you intend that this year's CDF is used? This year's CDF was supposed to probably go towards equipping these very youths at different levels with knowledge in the first year, so that in the second year, when the money is given or plowed back into the youths and women, it will make a lot of sense, because these people will not only buy graders, that which one man can operate, but they will be able to have principles, basic principles of business, of which also we go back to the drawing board, which is our school system. If you realize that we learn the basics of agriculture science, we learn the basics of woodwork. The only real subjects that which you learn, of course, is woodwork and metalwork. But then, for you to go and cut the log, you come and make it into a plank and all that process, we are not empowered. So we needed, first of all, to work on the mindset of the youths. Most of them, in as much as those that were protesting, I am aware, I know them, that probably at this time there's a verbatim going at Prometheus or campaign, like someone's or two that return my paper.
Exactly. That's a concern again, Mr. Mwinde. They are saying that they haven't seen anything under CDF, especially in, is it Ward 13 of Kanyama?
No, it is based on the submissions they have made to the area member of parliament, who is Honorable Monty Chinkuri. We may also be able to say that youths are also consumed to try and feed into the systems of having to find survival means of their families. And they have neglected the pertinent meetings that which are called upon by the civic leaders that they have elected. So I call upon, I use that statement which you have given me, or that accusation, to call upon the general leadership of the party UPND, especially those that were elected, and even leadership of the opposition, that let us apply prudence and let us apply an inclusive approach. What is lacking right now is inclusivity. where we are being selective. You want to decide who benefits. His Excellency the President has said, let's remove political violence in order for us to live as one. And let us also apply a servant style of leadership. And I must also be quick to mention before you maybe allow you bring in another question. I have been to Kanyama twice. Yes, I've been to Chivoria. I don't make an appointment. I know where to find the youths when I need them, and we are in constant touch with them. But I also feel ashamed as a leader. I must also be able to confess that I've visited I'm very limited in terms of visiting these ministries. On behalf of many other youths, I've visited maybe PS Water Development, PS Tourism, PS Local Government, maybe in the corridors, not in his office. Okay? Yes, I've visited who else? I think for this 1 year, I've only gone to 3. And the ministers that I've met in their offices, Minister of Mines, Minister of Youth, and SME. And those, if you see, the visits are inclined towards trying to reduce the burden of these. Because I, as Trevor, the details are there at Pakra, anywhere else. I don't own a company. I don't have a company that which I will pretend someday to say, no, I supplied this, I did this. I believe. The
one that ACC will use to follow you.
No, if ACC was to come at that time, they will be able to come and meet us and investigate us. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm in the public domain to make sure that we have a covenant with the future of this country. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Indeed, if you're just joining us, we are in conversation with the United Party for National Development Deputy National Youth Chairman, Mr. Trevor Mwende. You can call us or send us those text messages and ask him those pertinent questions that you have been harboring for a long time. Our topic of discussion this morning is, has the UPND neglected its members? This is emanating from the 2 stories or the 3 stories that we ran this week, beginning last week, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, where the party spokesperson Cornelius Moita also issued a statement, and also Lusaka Province Chairman Mr. Oves Mwaliteta, who was put on the pedestal trying to actually create an impression that he needs to be the new SG, distancing himself from those cause. And right about now, Mr. Mwinde is just trying to clarify 1 or 2 issues insofar as that issue is concerned. Just as a reminder, you can call us as well and have this conversation. Patrick?
Now, Mr. Mwinde, and my follow-up question would be that, do you think your youths want to also inherit what the PF used to do in markets and bus stations? That because now they're no longer having money like their colleagues in the PF used to, and that they are concerned that you are stopping them. And do you think that's the reason why they don't want Mr. Garin Combo?
I think we have a call. Just hold before you pick that. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm my brother.
How are you? I'm also brother, man. I recall one of the stories today. I recall that we have just Woodland for this the so good that you make it what a strong man you are. You look very fit.
Thank you so much.
By this time, I thought maybe we would have tried to really come back for this party.
Thank you so much.
This is the voice of Conan for against.
Okay.
He's back. My brother, I really love and trust you. But what is happening right now that is not enough for our party. Okay? Within the policy and rank of our party, there are people who are not constitutional in their case. You know, some of those propositions that were suggested by those youth of Kanyama, let them be genuine. But I still categorically that the procedure which they use, it is not in the DNA of UPND. But when the chief administrator would always come in at the secretariat, which is the sovereign responsibility of our partner, the number of channels should have been one used. Some of you are saying better videos. You know what is happening in Matter. Drivers are being chased by Chitanga. Drivers are being chased by the guy who's called America, you know what I'm talking about. Drivers are being chased That's a guy, the other one called Chelsea, who saw that. And whenever the thing with Mike was very sensitive, when Peter asked the person was trying to defend the people, to protect the victim of the time of the president. The officer, the highest officer there, the DCI was, Mr. Matamoro has been saying that our hands are tied to hold. We are trying to present the president, there is no president, but the part of the reality. How do I tell my brother? You are aware that that's what you made in Madam, where the young guy is like a after you. It was not. Go out to find them information from where the council manager and you are aware of that guy. The effect of the decision to reach here and all the money that the office that they use the part one office. When some people try to speak in wrong way to speak, they are always being like you that God cannot see what color. But if they never take try to anybody to say that the first kind of thing that they compare to the conference of the public or the public that the public. The effect no. So my brother, your leadership, I admire you are very good leader, very strong and very honest people. Unlike other people, particularly within the youth sphere, from the national up to wherever it is, that's the question. There are people who are very honest. What they are thinking, what they think the way you are there. They take their reports as if they are thinking about them. But go on the one and to come, they are very in the Rama hospital and that and Panade. But we never want to follow it to the what is there for Madam. They think you want to get the country, maybe one of the planet. I will make the point very clear that the people that don't get taken. It's the council manager. It's about the council manager.
Mr. Chinza, why wind up?
Mr. Chinza there brought out a number of issues. Mr. Mwinde, not even not aware now. I think Mr. Chinza has helped us refresh our memories. You mentioned names.
I'm grateful. He has also commented to say procedure was not followed on the youths that went to the streets. We know we behave differently based on our also levels of engagement and the environments that which we also operate in. And of course also they were also security conscious. If you are not aware of those youths, they were not only acting like that, they were also security conscious. I cannot lie to any other politician here in Zambia that the strongest youths that which we have in UPND or any part that which has been is in Kanyama constituency. The strongest youths that which we have and the youths that will respond to any urgent call of duty are the very youths, those that were protesting there. Those are the people that you have heard that Mafrafi. Those are the people that you have heard that Bageto boys. In Lusaka or Zambia, in Lusaka prior to the campaigns, the only place where the UPND flag flew all around, it was in Chiboli, without any disturbances. They got our boys, they even put them in prison, gave them aggravated robbery charges, this and that, but all that was an exercise in futility because it did not mean they did any or committed any offenses. Then we come to the saga at Kurima Town. I must first of all categorically clearly state to the on the television here and any other channels, it be Facebook or anywhere, that I as Trevor Mwinde went to Kurima Tower on several occasions. And you know what I go there to do? Even in opposition days, even in now, I've got people that run booths and that sell different merchandises there, that are my brothers, that I distribute meat, beef. I sell beef to them. I sell goat meat to them. That has been my survival. That has been how I've been surviving. I'm aware that there are UPND youths in Natal. That I cannot dispute. And just like any other political party, it can also have its own people and membership in the station. I'm not trying to water down the statement given by Mr. Chinza, but the most important issue is that if I was to ask who was supposed to be in Kurima Tower, because these people are not organizing the operations of the council, I've not heard any complaint from the council. I'm not supporting that if at all they are doing any illegality, then they must continue staying there. If they are eating money illegally, that which was supposed to go to the council, they must stop. Because
Me as a leader of the youth in the Department of Mobilization and Politics, I've gone to Kulimatawa. I think with one of your journalists from here, Zipora Mshah. I've gone with one of your cameramen there. We have been to Kulimatawa maybe twice. We have been to Useko maybe twice or once. We have been championing and calling for ceasefire, making sure that those people that are practicing illegalities. I'm surprised you have asked me who this father is. I'm meant to believe that he's one of the chairpersons of the buses. The only public outcry that which comes out very loud on the Kulimatawa issue or any other bus station is that certain other people, they also had people in mind who they wanted to be found in the stations. But look, I cannot go to Intercity, I cannot go to Kulimatawa, I cannot go to City Market to go and try to push an agenda that even me, I want to put in Zipezak or something. It doesn't work like that. Yes, so it's unfortunate. Chitanga has been mentioned. Chitanga is a youth leader, is a deputy provincial youth chairperson who makes sure that we sit down with him through the office of the Secretary General to make sure that such things they don't dent the image of the party and the presidential decree, to make sure that the direction is clear from where we are to where we are going. Yeah, we want to make sure that I've also heard that my chairman, my leader, and in the context what this man was saying they went to open up
an office.
There's a call, I think we can.
Let's pick this call.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How?
Fine, thank you. Please tell us your name, where you're calling us from. Misha calling from? You said you're Misha calling from where?
From Camnet.
Katete. Okay, please go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning, Amishek. Mulibanje uko? Ziko.
Your line is not very clear.
I love your text. I have degree. I'm going to ask you, please, we have our plan. I am waiting to hear what the process because no time to do it. When we come back to work, we take it to the client in order to work. But we would have not ordered to work. From the client, we want to exit. There is nothing that us who have taken the time to our
Okay.
Okay.
I think the line is
Mr. Mishek. Mr. Mishek. He's gone? Okay.
Yeah,
So
but I
wanted
think
to ask-
I heard something, Sha.
Something, yeah.
Like, since the UPND assumed office,
Nothing.
nothing.
I wanted to
Nothing
ask him what their expectations were.
Yeah,
Because,
but the line.
the line was pretty bad. But could it be that, maybe just to add on, Mr. Mwinde, could it be that people or the youths were too expectant of
See, just as I said, there are two approaches you can look at it. Just even on the cross of Calvary, you know, there were two people, Hismas and Dismas, that were one on the left, one on the right. One on the right said, no, look, remember me in the kingdom. The other one on the left, he says, I know you, if this one was the Son of God, you think he would have been here, he would have saved himself. Yes, so even in every situation, we must be able to put things, two approaches, good or bad. So in his comment, there is a submission to say, no, I'm a good leader. Yeah, so besides that, I think we have one approach where people were voting to change their individual lives, especially but when we end up my voters card, 0302. So people were determined to make sure that this seen the bomb, magapena my voters cards, mamina zaga buena, azaka pasa mzula. Then others were also saying no takarabani paulova. Mwena mwake boma izabwera ko sinta abantu izatretera ko bantu bose yana kumene wazatiganizirako. Yes, so those are personal. Now for us who are going around the country, we were believing that we need to change. For you people also in the media fraternity, not to be shaken when a politician comes or speaks. We wanted you to have these liberties. We have seen. Look at how the liberties in the media have gone. ZNBC. You know that we appear more on the private media because we have come with you from a long distance. And it's very difficult for you to even maybe neglect us or ignore. You look at ZNBC. Sorry situation whereby they could report about a case of sudden where somebody died and the police went to investigate. Nobody died. It shows you how infiltrated an organization is, where you competent guys that believe in what is right, that are neutral, were supposed to have even been fused into the newsroom, which has gone very corrupt, which has gone anti-government, and yes, it's very disappointing, yes. And
you don't want to be psychic.
No, I am speaking my mind, and even when I'm speaking, I'm not using any gauge of excitement, and I'm not using any gauge of frustration, but we're speaking the reality. Zambia police suddenly reported that somebody died in Chongwe, was sodomized, and when they went there, the police came and said, no, there was nobody who died.
Of Sodom.
Yes, of Sodom. And that NBC is a national broadcaster which is headed by a minister of information. We want to appeal to those people to be probably checked properly because there is no way that Ungaziruma Kwanja Wamena would yes, in as much as we are desperate to have information given to the public. We know I was privileged at one time to be attached to Zambia police. There was a man called Mr. Tresford Kasare. He was a victim support national coordinator at Force Headquarters way back in 2012. These issues of incest, sodomy, murder, suicide, and they are all recorded. The only thing that which was not happening in the previous regime is that they were not being reported publicly. They were kept for reasons nobody knows. But now that information has been allowed to be given out by His Excellency the President has said, let us have media liberties and freedoms. It should not be the right, or it should not be abused by other stakeholders to try and gain mileage. We can now call it political mileage even when they are in the civil service.
Others are also using the same arrangement to say the UPND has seemed weak on issues pertaining to LGBTQ, or let's say lesbians and gay issues, as the UPND has been weak on this, according to your critics. What do you have to say about that, Mr. Mwende?
I want to say that, first of all, we must set the agenda very correctly and seriously. On this issue, us as UPND, we can first of all pick a model from our president. His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema. He has managed one of the hardest things to maintain, one of the hardest institutions here on planet Earth, which is a marriage institution. You have not heard him in scandals. You have not heard him
Maybe he's too private.
No, basi anako nice. Yes, basi anako nice. Naimwe kapena. Basi anako, yes. So a man who has yes, President Basianako Naisi, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema has managed to manage an institution that which is very, very, very critical, which is the institution of marriage, which Basianako na wazatu banachoka hapo because their president, Michael Chilifya Sata, may his soul rest in peace, is a father to a senior colleague of mine, Mr. Mulenga Sata. He himself confessed, I think it was on movie TV, that the laws are there. The only thing remaining is to implement them on gayism. Us in the United Party for National Development, sir, we believe in production and reproduction. And that reproduction can only come when a man and woman fuse. Okay, so we will not be in the position to be swayed by cheap propaganda. And even this July date, we were hearing about it in
September, July.
September, July. We heard about it. The other year they wore white, masuti kuchilanga huko. In the PF time. The other year they wore yellow. In the PF time. Okay? They were being allowed by the PF. Then how has it come that it's a new phenomenon? Look at us first of all, and look at the people that are defending the manifesto and the constitution for UPND in line with the country's constitution. You will come to realize that we are level-headed individuals. We are not speaking from emotions. We want to be objective, and we are also speaking information which is verifiable, empirical, and mathematical. So when you want to accuse the UPND of gayism and lesbian rights, it's just like somebody in the middle of month like June. It doesn't happen like that. It's very rare that it happens. So in UPND, we are categorical. We will be able to support what God has permitted.
So it's a non-issue. It doesn't
if
even
you look at it, I will take you back to the theories of Mao's monologue. A man in front, besides the mouth, he has everything to give out. Okay? So a woman in front of her, besides the mouth, she has everything to receive. So there is no reason whatsoever that we should now turn around the other man and start to use the man like that. No, it doesn't happen, and it's not permissible, it's not godly, and it's not in line with our manifesto as a political party. If at all you have heard any political party leader from the ruling party coming on board to come and speak about gayism and lesbianism, it means that probably he's a dry wood who is disconnected from the real plant of the political party. The political party UPND is a God-fearing institution, and we will not align ourselves to anything that which is illegal, irregular, and unspeakable in our norms of culture, traditions, and customs as a country.
You had a question.
Yeah, Mr. Winde, you are quite important issues before we let you go. I know we are going towards the 9 minutes of our interview, but there is a point you mentioned in your preamble suggesting that your predecessors were actually doing single sourcing and everything. We are going to bring to your attention two aspects that we feel others have also criticized this government for doing, single sourcing. The Ministry of Local Government, through the CDF projects, single sourced the vehicles and which are supposed to be distributed to all the 156 constituencies. And the issue of the fertilizer procurement is going to be direct bidding, going for a direct bidding. But we're doing the same thing, and people have been saying such kind of maneuvers of direct bidding are not good for the country.
What is the difference between then and now?
I want to also believe that Party V, they've asked a very good question. So what it is that...
That's my new name.
Yes.
Exactly. It's stuck.
What it is that previously we had some people that were working under the Ministry of Planning, and there was a funding that which came from maybe Germany or USA, donor aid money, that which was specifically supposed to help certain provinces, southern, northwestern, and western. I think you've seen Land Cruisers that are painted green on the sides and written Vision 2044.
Yes.
Think
2044.
Yes.
You must be aware that somebody was dismissed because he bought those Land Cruisers for provinces that which were looked to be like UPND strongholds. Okay? every program and every agenda has got its even if somebody gave you money bena mwenzako za ndalama zanga zimsenzeze mzuwa izi ndalama zanga msenzeze mjira yaso izi ndalama zanga zizoendera kumwera mtakafuta. So CDF is money that which is supposed to benefit the residents, particularly in the at constituency level, district level, respectively. But how and what they get. Others have bought combined harvesters. I don't know what they'll be. Others have bought sharers. Others have bought my irrigation materials. So, in as much as one can want to say single sourcing, I do believe that the minister and the permanent secretaries, including the spokesperson of government, they may have a very watertight answer to give to you. But me as a politician, we want the government to do what is right for the Zambian people in order to maintain the levels of confidence for the people that voted for us and the people that we campaigned. And remember, we are the first ones who went to the citizens to go and ask for their vote. The citizens did not just support us in default. We went to them, spoke to them, promised them things. So I just urge the relevant ministries to remain steadfast and do what is right, because power, as much as I'm seated here, I've sat here before in opposition, okay? Power can be sweet, but it's very temporal, especially political power. And in the near future, to those that are given authority to preside over issues of national importance, they must also be able to also imagine themselves out of power and how it shall be. So we don't want anybody to go to prison out of things that which they would have done straight. It's a different ballgame. You were talking about buying of a motor vehicle. We had a government, just the previous government, which was involved in mismanagement of the youth buses, the Haiga buses. They gave them to...
I was coming to that. Also, you were also addressing that issue pertaining to ETG. Pertaining to that, you were also on the platform talking about those issues.
Yes. We as a social and public commentators, when information is given to us, we have no reason why we should withhold it, whether right or wrong. So it remains on the investigative agencies to make sure that that information is made useful and is investigated, whether it has got a background as it has been portrayed. But we have got no apology to give the information, because we believe in impeccable sources that which give us information. So we are aware that ETG is one of the shortlisted companies to supply fertilizer. But on that list, I think ETG has got questions to answer to government, because it is believed that it bought a vehicle. I don't want to give more details. Yes, a vehicle that which is believed, I have the number plate here. Yes, that which is believed to have been from a government agency in a manner that which is not very straight. And that vehicle, unfortunately, it was not only an ordinary government procured vehicle. It came from DHID. It was like a donor-funded vehicle to a project, and then it disappears. It's found somewhere in a garage over a year. Because, see, even projects, you can say that the project donated vehicle can work or run with the institution maybe for 4 or 5 years, then you dispose it off. But there's no way that a vehicle comes this month, 3 or 4 months, it disappears. Yes, so we have got concerns that if ETG is indeed on the list of people that are shortlisted to do fertilizer transactions, I think yes, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. Yes, we have even people that have got ready fertilizer here, Benenyimba, they have fertilizer in here. And Benenyimba, these are homegrown people, they hail from Choma. Yes, somebody can be an Indian man, but they have been born here. So we want to believe that they have got a capacity. So we're not fighting for anybody and for no apparent reasons. We have got people that have shown capacity. Yes. The alpha commodities of this world, they are also on the list. And we want to believe that the leadership of the government, upon receiving this information, they should also be in the position to recheck through the process of selecting those people that are bidding for fertilizer supply. And
and you are a farmer also add on to the issue of related distribution of fertilizer.
Isn't it too late?
Ndiye nkani pamene ili hapo, we are desperate now. Manje mwafika pachimake manje.
Ndio pamene mfuna manje single sourcing because you're desperate.
Single sourcing, it also depends, maona Sharon. Single sourcing could be good, but the challenge is that why choose to go and import something which is not yet in the country? Somebody has the commodity here. But of course, even those that have got the commodity, let them also fairly do their market evaluation and market research to try and, because the new donor administration promised the citizens cheaper fertilizer. Manje wewe na fertilizer nyingi, then mutengo wako unochuruka, bantu sikazagura, oro boma singagura. Sifuka boma sifuna ukangiwa, ma promises yemene na pasa bantu.
Mr. Mwinde, as we wind up, to the youths out there, they are your people, and we've seen this halabaloo. Kindly reassure them, or maybe just tell them something they want to hear from you.
No, I'm not naturally a sweet talker, because just as you see, my face is wrinkled, and I'm still the dark trader that you knew before and now. I want to assure you, comrades out there, that we are now in leadership of the country, and everybody else is looking up to us. And let us improve our communication means towards one another. I know that even in the very institution UPN, we may not like one another as individuals, but we are not individuals when we are in the institution. We are now somebody in leadership. We are connected to everybody. Those that may not like the SG Emenda, Emenda was chosen by His Excellency the President. And even if you did not clap, that is the SG, the reality has to dawn on you that he is the Secretary General of the United Party for National Development, and he has risen in power and rank. He is even the national coordinator of the party. I know that even me, my name was listed, that Deputy Secretary General. In as much as that could have happened like that, I appreciate you, the youths, that thought so highly of me. And I thank you. And I would just want to say that I can only take a role in the party when it has been advertised and when it has also been given unto me, because things that zotenga zakuti no by the same measure you treat others, you shall also be treated. So we want to respect all office holders. We have leaders that even if you look at them, they don't have a CV as much as you do. So you must have just to accept. Look at Venon Mwanga. He once said that RB was his junior secretary or something. But later on he had to salute to him because he rose to become president. So in this politics, we must learn to respect you, because my first lady.
Of course.
Yes, 2021 president. Special advisor of State House.
Of course.
Ujali kuja kamera ndio amenazangara utindie secretary to cabinet. Then if we don't respect one another, then we will have a dead society. So we must just be able to give credence to whoever is in leadership and your issues. I thank you for your courage. But next time, don't rush to the camera. Call us as the leadership. Tivomera, orokumenyewa. Tuzame munati passes. Orokosevana, tivomera. As a politician, kundende tinaenda po kudara. Palipa metinga kange uchita adresi. Kasenzera pamozi. Parinjira pena pake. Bangazivepo mushe beve. Uchiraisi.
There you have it. That is Mr. Mwinde. But in case you still want to air out your grievances, Camnet TV is always there for you. We'll still get to cover you if Mr. Mwinde does not give you a voice. Shalom.
Indeed, we will still give you a platform in case Mr. Mwinde refuses to give you a platform, because really when he was saying that the SG was appointed by the president, it actually reminds me of Lungo Naluo, because then ECA was like, even if you don't like law, she is my choice. Yes. So really, even if you don't like Batuke Imenda, it's the president's choice. And the president actually thinks this is the man that will lead us to somewhere. Yeah. So really, as he has stated, we will continue to give you a platform and you can actually go to them and talk to them, use the right channels as a party. Thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. Join us again tomorrow for yet another edition of The Breakfast Show. Good morning.